Hi everyone, it's Rich again, and this is another episode of Rich the Legend, Board Game Fanatic. And today we're going to talk about Arkham Horror, the board game. This game is so cool. We're going to be going into this. It goes into the Arkham Horror type games. We also have Arkham Horror card game. We have a few other type games that come from this universe, but this one is probably my favorite because there's so much of the components from all the others that this one's more streamlined and it's more easier. It's got better flow and so forth. So you can get to 1 to 6 players for this game. My preferred amount of players is probably 4 or 5. Or you have a variety of characters, and each person contributes something for that adventure or that investigation that we're doing. So we are going to be in 1926 at Arkham, the city of Arkham, and we are going to have specific scenarios where we are going to investigate and try to conquer these evil forces that come to this city and try to keep it from keep the big bosses, the big monsters that come through to kill the whole world, and we don't want that to happen, so we're going to do the best we can to keep it cleared of these evil monsters and so forth. So today we're going to be doing the setup and the rules explanation, and I'll be talking about different components. And after we do that explanation, we'll go into the playthrough after that. It'll be the next episode after that. There's a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things that you need to know about the game. So the more you know at first, the better you're going to get to play it. So let's go and first talk about how we're going to set up the game. The first step is to pick a scenario. Well, we're going to be doing an approach of Azathoth. Sorry, my pronunciation is pretty bad. This is one of the ones they recommend for the basic game to start with. A lot of people have said on YouTube that this is really one of the hardest ones, but we'll see. Haven't passed this one yet, but we'll see if we can pass it this time. Plus this front side is where we're going to get all our information to start the adventure and what we're going to read at the beginning of the playthrough. The second part is on the other side, and this is your setup. So basically it shows you all the maps that you need and what you're going to place, what monsters we're going to have, what parts of the codex, and that's basically the explanation of what we're doing, where we start at, and some other information. So for example, Monster Deck is basically those cards that it states there. Our Mythos Cup is going to be all our tokens that we're going to be drawing from during the Mythos phase, and those are bad except for the 3 blanks. That's probably the only 3 good things that come up. Well, maybe the clues. The clues are good, but the rest of the stuff is really bad. So we'll see how that is in the playthrough. Then we have the finalized setup where we have our 2 and 3 cards that we're going to use for our introduction when we read before we start the playthrough. And then we create the anomaly deck that will be used when we have an anomaly in the board. And we'll talk more about anomalies here in the rules explanation, and also during all the stuff that we're going to be looking at. So we got our that's our first step. The second step is to make the board and get everything set up on the card here. So let me do that, and I'll show you the board here when I finish. Okay, so we set up the board. We have North Side, Downtown, East Town, Merchant District, and Rivertown that was corresponding to this board here. Okay, it should be like that. Alright, and then we collect all the different decks that correspond to these specific spaces. And also for the street spaces, we have bridges, lamps, and trees, and they all go into the street deck that's right here. So what we have to do first is shuffle these cards. All right, and get them all shuffled. And that's our step 2. Now all the tokens are already set up, ready to go. And we'll clean the tokens here in a bit. But that's what we have to do, is shuffle all the cards, make sure they're shuffled, ready to go, and then we'll go to step 3. Alright, so let me get the rest of these cards shuffled, and we'll come back to step 3. Okay, so we have our scenario card. It says approach of Azathoth. And if you look on the bottom, it's very small, minute. Let me see if I can scroll in. But it says on the bottom of the card, on the black thing, it says approach to Azathoth. All these cards, there's 24 of them. These are going to be used to get our clue tokens to our board and onto our scenario card. These is the ones that are going to help us advance the story. So these are very important cards. So all we do here is with these cards is we shuffle them and put them in the event deck. So this is our event deck. I shuffled them and I placed them in here. This is what we're going to do. Where we're going to place them. We're also going to use this as for a doom or a clue or specific markers, tokens that we're going to be picking out of the bag. So for doom, we're going to take the card from the back. For clues and for the star token, the burst token it's really called, you will take it from the front. Okay, that's basically how it works. We start and we produce our monster deck. The monsters, we have a bunch of monsters here, a lot of them, but we're not going to use these. We got these from the scenario card, the ones that are on the right hand side here. And we're going to take these and shuffle them, and we have our own little card thing for our monster cards. We're going to put those face up like this and in the ready position of the card. And we'll also explain that later on in the rules. So we're going to shuffle these cards and put them in the other holder. And that would be step 4. We start and we produce our monster deck. The monsters, we have a bunch of monsters here, a lot of them, but we're not going to use these. We got these from the scenario card, the ones that are on the right hand side here. And we're going to take these and shuffle them, and we have our own little card thing for our monster cards. We're going to put those face up like this and in the ready position of the card. And we'll also explain that later on in the rules. So we're going to shuffle these cards and put them in the other holder. Alright, the next phase, next step is step 5, and we have to make our mythos. These are the tokens that we will use during this game, during this scenario. Every scenario is different and we'll have different tokens that we will start with. There is a possibility that we will add other tokens to this during the game, and we'll grab the other tokens out of the bag from the box later on. But these are the ones that we're going to be using at the start of the playthrough. So we're going to put these in the bag, and basically we'll show you, I'll explain these tokens later on during the rules explanation. Alright, step 6, we're going to be doing the headline deck. So what we do is we shuffle the deck. I already did that. And then we draw 13 of these cards. The rest of these cards we put in the box. And these, all these get put several on next to the board, so we can use them during when we do the mythos phase. So that's what, and we'll explain more of those when we do the playthrough. All right, step 7, we set up our assets and display. So we have our special cards here that we don't sort, we don't shuffle, because they're in alphabetical order. We have our allies, people that can help us, our spells, and our items. And also, 5 of our items get placed face up, and this is called a display, and these are the items here. So sometimes during the course of the game, they say you can pick an item from the display, so that's basically what that is. And also, when you do take something from the display, then you will put a new card there to fill it in. Okay, next thing is we prepare our token pools. We have our 6 tokens here. And we have our dollars, our horror, damage, our clue and doom tokens, our remnants, and our focus tokens. And we'll go more into those in a little bit. The next thing we do, step 9, that was step 8. Step 9, we prepare our archive. Archive told us to get 2 and 3 out of the archive pile. This is our archive deck. So far we have 2 and 3 and the introduction here. So we will go through that when we start the campaign. Okay? So that's step 9. So randomly I picked a character that I will be using. Is Charlie Kane. He is the politician. And you can see these are his stats for skill checks. He also has 4 health. He's not very strong. He has 8 horror, so he doesn't get scared easily. They do have some extra powers here. Task force action. So this means could be one of the actions during his turn you can use. Then $2 and an additional $1 for each ally you have to gain 1 ally. Or leadership. Each time one of your allies is discarded, suffer 1 direct horror. That's not good. So we don't want to lose allies with this guy. Trust in me and trust in Arkham. Your focus limit is equal to the number of allies you have. So basically right now my focus is 0. So I need to start getting allies ASAP. This guy is not very strong. I'm going to have to build his strength up because he's going to have to battle monsters. It's going to be we'll see how this guy goes. May have to change characters during the playthrough, so we'll see how this guy goes and how I can work him. So basically another thing you have to do with this guy is you flip this card over, and your starting possessions you get Voice of Authority is one of your skills, so you have to take one of these 3 cards, and Voice of Authority is one. Okay. And it says, once per round, when revolving a test using this skill, you have focused. A skill you have focused, you may test a handshake in place of the indicated skill. So if your handshake for this guy is a 4. So that would give you a benefit of doubt. So that means you get 4 dice to roll for that. That's pretty cool. Then you choose one of the following. You get $2 to start. Okay, so we get $2 to start the game. That's 3. I'm sorry, $2. And choose one. Bonnie Wash and Calling Favors. Bonnie Wash. Once per round, before you resolve a test, you may focus one skill of your choice. Calling Favors is at the start of your turn, discard all money from this card and test Handshake for each success you roll. Place $1 on this card. You may spend money from this card. You may not trade it. Okay, so I think I'm going to take Bonnie Wash because I can use that to do the skills. That's probably a good idea, so I'll take that. And Calling Fire will go back in the box because I'm not going to use it. And I'll put this on the bottom of my... All your character sheets you will keep out, because if you die, you get another one, and just basically take the top one and start with that one. So if you ever die a character, you will put a doom on the scenario sheet. Alright, so that is how you set up your character. We got that done. Let's go to the next step. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do is set up our starting clues. So what we do is we take one at a time, the cards on the top, and the first one is north side. So we will place a clue token in the center of our north side section, and then you take the top two cards and you shuffle these. And you just keep going until you forget how where everything's at, Place those cards back in on the deck there. Alright, and then take the next one. Next one goes to Merchant District. And you do the same thing here. You take two cards and then you shuffle them. Alright, and you place it down there, and you take the last one, north side again. So that's basically where we want to go first, probably to get some clues. We're going to get our clues faster than Doom, so yeah, it's going to be what I'm going to have to do. So that's done. All right, so we did that. The next thing we have to do is our starting doom, and we did do our starting doom from our card here. It basically states where we place them. I already placed them on board here, so we have some doom on the board. Now let's talk about doom real quick. Doom is bad. So if for any reason we get 3 on a space in one part of the city, then we will get an anomaly, and we will place this anomaly thing right here. And what that does is, when we go to the counter phase, and we'll talk about the counter phase, is that you will not get a counter to whatever space you're on. You will get an anomaly counter, and it will be something maybe good or bad, one or the other. Or if you get 5 total on the part of the town there, then it's going to bring an anomaly in. And the only way to clear it is by removing all the doom off this area. Okay? Alright, we did that, but we also get one more doom, and we take the bottom part of the card like I talked about before, and we look at East Town, and we look at there's a doom marking. It looks like it goes to Hibbs Roadhouse. So this will go here on this space. And then we place this on here to indicate what is the space that's bad space. That's what we place it. That's used for morally to place monsters, if there's specific monsters that go to those spaces, or maybe add more doom to that space. Okay? So that is basically the one doom. Then now the final scenario setup is where we look on our scenario sheet and create the anomaly. We did the 2 to 3 on our codex. We got that, and basically our anomaly cards. And these are the temporal fissure cards. And basically we shuffle them, and these will be used when we have an anomaly, and this is what we counter on our counter phase. These type cards. Well, that was a good place right here for now. Alright, so that is the setup. We're all set to go, ready to go on the playthrough. So now I'm going to talk more about specific rules in the game. So let's get to that. First thing we're going to talk about is player's actions. So let's do that first. One action you can do is move. Now you can move 2 spaces. I just realized I didn't have my forest card here. I don't know what happened, but I had to put that back on. But let's say, for example, it was there. So basically we go 2 spaces. So that'd be 1, 2. Okay, we can do that. Now you can go more spaces during a move space is by paying $1 or $2 dollars. You pay one, you can go one more space, and you pay another one, you can go 4 spaces. So that's, you can go 2, 3, or 4, depending on if you're going to pay dollars. The only thing is, if you spend your dollars for just movement, you're going to have problems because you want to maybe purchase an item or an ally or something that comes up. So just be careful about spending that. You could, so that's basically what the dollars can be used for. One of the things. Gather resources. Gather resources. You can collect $1. All right, you gain $1 onto your character card. So that's another action. Focus. You could focus a skill. Now, for example, with Charlie Kane, though, is I need an ally. Well, I just realized that Bonnie Walsh is an ally, so I could focus one skill if I want to. For right now, if I get more allies, I can focus a bunch of skills, and that would be beneficial for me. You can only have one focus token for each specific characteristic. So strength, for example, I would only can get up to 3. All right. Only there are cards that maybe will get you more focus. So look out for those. Good thing. All right. Next thing is ward. So ward is basically to remove doom off the board, and that is good for us. So removing doom, warding, you will use lore. My lore is 2. It's not very good. All right. And I'll explain to you why here in the background story of this guy, but he doesn't have very good lore. So that was probably one of the things I would want to focus is to get the lore up. The same thing is observation. Get that up. I'll explain why here in a second. The next thing is attacking. Now, for example, let's say I was here and I moved and I went into this space. Basically, this monster that's already here, we have 2 rogue figures on the board right now. They're going to be moving. But if you go into space with a monster that's ready, it will come over to you and will basically be used this specific way. So he will stick to you until you kill him, or if you evade him, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So attacking, basically you can use strength, and you will roll that many dice, and my strength is 2, so I basically roll 2 dice, and if I get a 5 or 6, I win, and I got nothing. So the only way I could probably do it is if I had a focus token on my card. I could re-roll a dice, or if I have a clue on my card, I can re-roll a dice. Now, using a clue for a re-roll that would be an essential re-roll because those are those are hard to get, and you need to use those to advance the story and try to win. So you want to make sure you don't use those very, very often. Use the focus tokens instead. Okay? But if you did get a 5 or 6, let's say I got a 6, and this guy has the damage of 1, then I'd kill him, and then he would get discarded and be put on the top of the deck. Alright? So that's basically what attack is. Evading. Now, if let's say this guy was on you, he has an observation of 0, so that means he has no evade change. So basically you do the same thing. You would do a observation check and -3, so I would roll 3 dice, and I got a 6, so I passed it. So then he would be evaded, and I would put him back here as being exhausted. That's the way you place exhausted creature. So the next turn during the monster phase that we'll talk about is basically you're going to flip him over, and that's all he can do. He can't move, he can't attack or anything. So that's what he's exhausted here. He's not exhausted like this here because all this is here for my reference, so I know what modifiers I have to attack him. Okay? Alright, so that's evading. Research. Research is basically taking a clue token from your character card and placing it on the scenario card. Alright, so basically you would use observation for that too. And the same thing, you would roll 3 dice like I would do. And if I get a 5 or 6, I can place, let's say I got a 5 and a 6, I could place 2 clue tokens at once onto the scenario card because I got 2 good rolls. Alright, so anytime you get a 5 or 6 is good. Alright. That is research. Trade. If you have any characters, because I'm doing a solo mode right now, it's not going to be, I can't really use trade to trade because all this stuff's going to be mine. So that's basically how that works. Okay? And then some components you have, like we explained before, like this task force on my character card, I have an action to spend $2 and an additional 1 for each ally you have to gain 1 ally. So I could add another ally to my card. Alright? So that's basically the actions that you can do. Alright? Also, when you are engaged with a monster, this monster is on you. The only actions you can do is focus, attack, or evade. Those are the only things. Until you evade this creature, you cannot do any of the other actions. You can't move, you can't gather resources, you can't ward, you can't research, and you can't trade. Or use any of your character actions either. Okay? So that's, except if an action states that you can use it if a monster is engaged with you. Alright? So that's basically all the actions involved in the game. Alright. Damage and horror. Alright, we have damage and horror tokens. For example, I have a health of 4. So I can only get 4 damage tokens on my card. Now, with my horror, I can get 8. So I don't want to get damaged as much. Now, think about attacking. I will have to start attacking these monsters. So I have to start focusing my thing on strength. I have to do it. So I can start attacking these monsters and get them out of here. Because they're going to keep following me and it's going to be a big pain. Later on during the scenario, there may be harder monsters I have to attack, and I will have to make sure I have a weapon or something that I can purchase from somewhere. I'll hopefully get a free weapon, something like that, that will help me have more dice to roll for strength. So that's what I need to start looking at. That and getting my lore up so I can do the Doom. Okay? Alright, so that's damage and horror. Okay, we also have our focus tokens. We have different focus tokens, and they're all based on the characteristics. We have lore, influence, observation, strength, and will. When you have one of these focus tokens on your character card, that's +1 to whatever the ability is on your character card. Alright, you can only have one of those tokens per characteristic. Alright? The last thing we have is our remnants. The remnants are used if you get to start spell casting, and you can do spells. You can use that to determine, to take away the damage that you would do if you did cast a spell. Some cast spells will cause damage and horror. Some will cause just damage. Some will cause horror only. So when you use a remnant, you can use that. The other thing remnants will do is get you items from certain encounters. So you want to get those. Some monsters out on the board will have a remnant symbol on top of their monster card. So when you kill it, you will get that remnant from the monster. It's like he dies and then you can take a piece off. That's magical and you use that for whatever. Okay? So that's basically what a remnant does. Alright. We also have, let's see, what other concepts do we got? Okay, we'll talk about the phases. Okay, the first phase is our action phase, and we talked about the actions that you can do. That'll be the first thing that comes up. The next thing will happen is the monster phase. So basically, a monster each monster will activate. Now, the number that's on the bottom here of these character cards is, it says a 2. That means a 2 movement. So the first thing you're going to do is you have, on the card it says it will spawn to an unstable space. And that was what I was talking about with this encounter card. Whatever the space is that has a doom symbol on it is called the unstable space, and it would be this one right now. Is this one here? Oh, this is 3. We don't want 3. We don't want 1. So. Okay. And then it says patrol. Move toward the unstable space. Engage highest handshake. Alright, so basically you will move this guy 2 spaces and you move towards here. It doesn't care about the characters here. It cares about the unstable space. That's what patrol is. Now, lurker, let's see, a lurker. Okay, patrol is what I explained. Hunter will basically do a specific investigator, whoever has a highest. So it's always going to be, if it's a hunter, it's going to come towards me. Lurker will stay in its position where it's at on the space and will do terrible things to the board. So basically you need to kill those guys to get them off the board so they don't produce any more doom. So that's basically what they do, is they produce a lot of doom. You want to get them out of the spot so that you don't have that doom on there and we don't cause anomalies and cause more doom to get onto the scenario card. Okay? So that's basically what that is for. Alright, so monster, basically ready monsters activate. So either move, and then if you get into a space with a character, it will attack it. And the way it attacks is on the bottom it's got either a damage or symbols with damage or horror. So the rogue figure only has 1 damage, that's it, it's very weak. So that's cool, but a lot of these monsters may have 2 horror, maybe 2 damage, whatever. So you need to be careful who you let come towards you. Rather attack them first, they're stronger, so you can get them out of here. Alright. The next thing is engage monsters, like I said, we're going to attack. And exhausted monsters, whenever they're like this, all they can do is flip over and that's their turn. So that's what the exhausted monster does. Okay. So that's the monster phase. So the next phase is the encounter phase. Encounter phase basically is wherever you're sitting. So for example, I'm here at train station, so I would get an encounter card for the train station. So I flip the next card over and I read the train station's write up and see what happens on that specific time and space. Okay, so that's an encounter. Now, if you have an anomaly in there or you're engaged with a monster, engaged with a monster, you will not ever take an encounter card during the round. Okay, so sometimes that will cause more trouble than it's worth because you have that animal engaged with you. You have to kill it first before you get an encounter card. Anomaly, you will not take the encounter card from the space, but you will get the anomaly card and you will read it out loud. Okay? Alright, that's encounter. Then the next thing you do is the mythos phase, and this is the worst phase of the whole phase. Basically because you get these this bag and you pick 2 tokens. You want one each. So basically I just picked a clue. So I would place a clue somewhere. I would take the top card off the deck, and like I just did earlier, I would place it on that center part of that city, and then I would shuffle it in the deck. Okay? Let's see what I get next. I get a headline. So then I would pick a headline card from the top and read it out loud and see what happens. Okay? Another thing is a blank space. A blank space is good because it doesn't do anything. This one is a monster. The monster will come out. You will pick the monster on the bottom and you will place it where it tells you to place it and spawn it. And then that's basically the turn for that. Alright, let's see what else we have. We have a reckoning one, and basically for the first part of the adventure, it says for each cultist monster, place one doom in its space. So basically, right now we have two cultist monsters. We have a robe and a figure because the cultist is on the top. So we would basically place a doom here and a doom here. That's not good. Alright, then we got, what else do we have? What other tokens we have? Oh yeah, doom. Basically we'll place the doom. Alright. And the other one is our one that will basically place 3 doom tokens on whatever I would pick from the bottom, and I would get the unstable space on there, and I would place, well, like basically would place it on the Pacific board, whatever the front part states it is. That's where we're going to place the 3, and it could cause us to get an anomaly that way. But that's a bad card too. But these are basically all the tiles that we have right now. So, and you pick 2 per round. And then those 2, the ones you pick, get set aside. You do it till you finish all the tokens when they're all done. All right, and that's basically the round. All right, so that. Let's see, is there anything else that I haven't gone through that's important? Let me see. Oh, very important. Items. If they have a hand on them, you can only use 2 hands per round. You cannot use one that has 2 hands and one that has 1 hand. Okay? So that's basically one thing you have to remember. Assigning damage, you can assign to a, if you have an ally, they will have specific rates like 2 horror, 3 horror, 2 damage. So you can place the damage you get on your ally. But if you go over the stats for them, then they get discarded. The cards get discarded. So that's probably a good option for me, is to get a bunch of allies so I can take damage on them instead of me. So that'd be a good thing. All right. If you're casting spells, better to have the amount that states on the bottom of the card. If you don't, you cannot cast a spell. Okay? That's the way it is. Otherwise, that is the rules for basically, majority of the rules, the basic rules that we need to know for this game. Okay, well, that is my setup and rules explanation for Arkham Horror board game. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, any comments or questions, please put them in the comment section. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. And the next video will be the playthrough, so hopefully you come back and enjoy that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope the rules explanation is good and you understand it. If there was something that you kind of understand but you weren't unsure, like I said, put it in the comment section. A lot of the rules will come out when I start playing and you understand. I'll explain what I'm doing so you would understand how it goes. So we'll start first, understand my character and how it works, and then we will go into the reading of the introduction of the scenario, and then we'll get going with the playing. So this is a really fun game, somewhat difficult. So it's kind of like a pandemic in a way, because you can start multiplying, and sometimes you think you're out of control. You have to try to do the best you can. So we'll see how we do. You know, hopefully we'll win this one. So thank you so much for watching the setup and rules episode, and please come back for the playthrough. Thank you. Thanks for watching.